We have a number of really exciting bills here to sign today. Today is really all about Colorado's commitment to children. It's about early childhood education. My son is somewhere around here today, and my son was able to have, preschool and kindergarten, and many families can afford it, but too many Colorado families can't. And if they don't get the right kind of preparation in those really critical birth to 5 years, it's really much harder to ever catch up, and those learning gaps become greater and more difficult to address. And there's, of course, heroic work being done by teachers in high school and middle school to try to catch students up and close those achievement gaps. But the most effective way to close the achievement gap is to prevent it from occurring in the first place, to make sure that all kids in Colorado have the same kind of advantages that I was able to have for my kids. And that's really what this series of bills is all about. This first bill has two aspects to it. It is the pathway for universal preschool in Colorado and high quality preschool, mixed delivery, all kinds of great quality providers. Some might be on site at employers. Of course, our school districts are big providers, standalone early childhood centers. It's really about quality. It's also about improving the health of kids and families by reducing the smoking and vaping rate. Colorado voters will have a really important opportunity this November to say it's time that Colorado no longer be the top state for teen vaping. It's time that we help make sure that less kids get hooked on nicotine, a habit that is hard to kick and often stays with them for life and will shorten their lives ultimately, result in worse health outcomes, as well as an extra boost for smoking cessation programs. This is really a great opportunity for Colorado to also, in the short term, help prevent some of the budget cuts to our schools over the next year or two. Establish preschool for every child in Colorado and additional preschool for some of the kids that need it the most and families who can't afford it. Also an important part of that. And we have a moral imperative in our state to do more to prevent teen smoking and teen vaping. And this policy lever is one of the most important that we have to accomplish that. At the end of the day, this measure will cut down on two of the worst and most dangerous things for our kids, smoking and vaping, and invest in one of the best things for our kids, and that's early childhood education. I'm fully confident that the voters of this state will see the value in reducing something harmful and increasing something that is beneficial and is a great return on investment. This effort has taken a number of years. As our legislative sponsors know, it fell short the first year that the legislature looked at it. But we have a wonderful champion in Representative Caraveo and the other sponsors. And first I want to thank all the sponsors, Representative Caraveo, Representative McCluskey, Senator Fields, and Senator Moreno. But Representative Caraveo has been a staunch supporter of kids' health, early childhood education, and making sure that we do more to help reduce the smoking rate in Colorado. And one of the best ways to do that is to prevent kids from getting hooked on nicotine in the first place. And in this day and age, that is often through vaping, which most people don't even know this. If you don't vape or know anybody who vapes, vaping is not taxed like other nicotine products. They effectively pay no tax. We're effectively subsidizing vaping, even though it often has a higher nicotine, more addictive than even as cigarettes. So this catches up vaping and just treats it like any other nicotine product, which it is, an addictive nicotine product. Doesn't ban it, doesn't prevent people from buying it. It just says, why would we not treat it the same as cigarettes? And also helps make sure that cigarettes are taxed in a way that is consistent with where most other states are, rather than be one of the lowest states. So with that, I am so proud to turn it over to Representative Caraveo, a champion of health, a champion of children. Representative Caraveo.
Thank you all for being here today, and thank you so much to the governor for 2 years of support on this policy that is going to be incredibly important for children. Over the last 10 years that I've been a pediatrician, we've gone from knowing that we have done a tremendous job in reducing the smoking rates among youth to seeing all of that work undone. Over the last 5 years, especially as I've been in private practice, I came to realize that, we continue to do a really good job about asking kids about smoking, and we were not doing a good job of asking them about their vaping exposure. And I remember the very first time that I decided to ask a patient about it. It was an 11-year-old girl who was there for a well child check, and I said, "Do your parents smoke, or does anybody smoke around you?" And she said, "No, why would anybody do that?" And then I said, "Hey, does anybody vape around you?" And she said, "Well, no, just my fellow classmates in school." An 11-year-old. Since then, I've come to hear stories from kindergarten teachers about kids coming into their schools with vape products that they get from their older siblings. And we know that the best way to stop getting these products into the hands of young people in particular is to raise the price. Teenagers are very price sensitive, right? They get their money from their parents. They have allowances still. And so if you raise the price, sometimes they're priced out of getting these products. So last year when we started down the path to introduce this measure, I was incredibly excited because I knew it was going to have a direct effect on the kids that I see every day in clinic. And not only that, but it was going to have a direct benefit for the younger kids that I see in clinic every day. Those whose parents talk about, I really wish that we could get them into preschool, but, we just can't quite afford it. So by bringing together these two incredibly important pieces of public health legislation, we would be benefiting so mmany of the kids that I see in clinic every day. We fell a little bit short last year, but I was very excited when we were able to bring it back this year and got to get it through the House and the Senate this year. And I will continue to be an advocate for this as it heads to what my colleagues in the Senate have called the most important committee of reference, the people of Colorado. So thank you all so very much for your support. Thank you to Governor Polis for your support in protecting the health of children and their future through investment in their early education. And with that, I will pass it on to my incredible co-sponsor in the House this year, Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Representative Caraveo. Ditto. I am so honored to be here today and to talk about what started a decade ago for me, but for people here gathered with us today decades ago. I particularly want to give a shout out to a pioneer for early childhood education in the state, Anna Jo Haynes. There are so many other wonderful representatives from the early childhood education system in Colorado here with us today. And I'm so proud of this bill for all the reasons that both our governor and Representative Caraveo mentioned. But I will really focus on what it means to have universal access. In my community, up in the high country, we launched universal preschool just 2 years ago after passing a local ballot measure, one of the first rural universal preschool models in the state as well as the country. And we have been so proud by the feedback from families, by the progress we've seen in our young 4-year-olds who are now that much ready for kindergarten when they get to the doorstep of our public schools. That's what this bill is about, making a difference for working families and making a difference for our children to make sure that they start out on the right foot, on the right path when they hit school. I want to thank all of you here today. Governor Polis, a decade ago, we dreamed of doing this work. I am so thrilled today to see this bill signed, and I hope that we can count on the voters of Colorado to support this measure through the finish line come November. Thank you all.
Senator Moreno with us. So I think we also have Jake Williams and then Mike Johnston. Jake?
Good afternoon. My name is Jake Williams. I serve as the Executive Director of Healthier Colorado, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan health advocacy organization who believes that every Coloradan deserves the chance to live a healthy life. And this measure is going to bring that opportunity for health and well-being into reach for thousands more children here in our state. In Colorado, right now, unfortunately, 5,100 people die each year from smoking, and 91,000 kids under 18 right now will eventually die from smoking. Colorado also has the nation's highest rate of nicotine vaping, with 27% of high school students using e-cigarettes currently. The public health research consensus is that raising taxes is the most effective way to reduce consumptions of tobacco products, with an especially pronounced impact on youth and pregnant mothers. Unfortunately, Colorado's tobacco tax has fallen to 39th in the nation, and nicotine vaping products are currently sold free of any tobacco tax at all. This bill gives voters the chance to catch up our state to our public health reality and address the epidemic of nicotine vaping among kids. Moreover, this bill will allow the state to make needed investments in tobacco education and cessation programs, gradually ramping us up to the CDC recommended levels of funding for these programs in Colorado. Taken together with the investments this measure would make in education across our state, this measure is a huge win-win for children in Colorado. I want to thank Governor Polis and the bill's sponsors, Representatives Caraveo and McCluskey, and Senators Fields and Moreno for their leadership on this effort, and I cannot wait to start the next phase of this campaign with them in presenting this opportunity to Colorado voters.
Thank you. My name is Mike Johnston. I'm the CEO of Gary Community Investments, which is an organization who's for a long time been committed to universal preschool as an idea. I'm grateful to be here today. I will say that in times of crisis, it's easy to ask ourselves the question, what can we do to preserve the Colorado that we have? I think the more inspiring question is, what can we do to build the Colorado that we want? And I think that is what today is about, which is today is a massive step towards a dream that many of us have held for a long time of universal preschool. Today is a huge step in the right direction. The next step, obviously, is to have the voters of this state support it. But one of the things we know in a moment where the country is so focused on what can we do to make sure our state is more equitable, the major driver to close equity gaps early in life, there's nothing more powerful than preschool. This is the single most powerful investment we can make to make sure every child, no matter what neighborhood they grow up in Denver or in Grand Junction or in Pueblo, is going to have access to the education they need to get themselves the opportunities that they deserve. So today is a historic step forward to do that, and we've done it in a typically Colorado fashion, which is I think we've built a unique model in the entire country, where we're going to, yes, commit to making sure every student has access to preschool, but also making sure we build a model really focused on equity, where those kids who need us the most can get the most services to make sure we help close that gap. So I want to say thank you to, of course, the sponsors, but I want to thank two people who haven't been recognized yet. One is Carrie Kennedy, who was an incredible ally in building this model through tireless hours in the last several months for all of her brilliance, and to Steph Clothier from our team at GCI, who's been working on this idea for years. We are so grateful for the courage and the leadership of Representative Caraveo and McCluskey, who got this across the finish line, and to the governor for his support, and can't wait for the voters to join us in making Colorado the country's leader once again on preschool. Thank you so much.
We'll make it official and we'll give voters the opportunity. Here we go. Ready? And it's official. The voters have the opportunity to make history. Congratulations. 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 And I have one for Joe. Okay. You know what? To have preschool, to have early childhood education, we also need wonderful educators that have the very latest training, the social emotional, the academic preparation based on science, to really be able to make sure that we have the best quality education for birth to 5. And this bill by Representative Sirota, Representative Jim Wilson, Senator Story, Senator Pedersen, really important bipartisan bill. And by the way, the last one was bipartisan too. Strong bipartisan support for early childhood education. Really improves the pathways for early childhood classroom quality by making sure that we can have a better early childhood workforce. I want to thank the Colorado Children's Campaign, the Women's Foundation of Colorado. You know, moving forward with full day kindergarten was an enormous step for our state. Today, we have the opportunity to take another step This bill is absolutely critical to meeting the needs of Colorado's early childhood workforce. It strengthens and aligns career pathways and competencies to make sure that more people have the opportunity to work in early childhood education. It promotes concurrent enrollment for high school students that want to go into early childhood education so they can get some of the college credit done while they're in high school. It also supports quality improvement in childcare and preschool programs, really aligning the work to outcomes. And you know what? This preschool that we're at right now, Plum Hill Preschool, is a great example of the quality improvement this bill supports. Plum Hill recently moved from level 2 to level 4 in quality. So congrats to the Plum Hill team for all of the work that went into that. So without further ado, I want to introduce the chief sponsor of this bill, a strong supporter of children in our state, Representative Emily Sirota.
Thank you, Governor, and welcome everyone to beautiful House District 9. So happy to be here today to see this bill signed into law. It really is the amalgamation of 3 bills that came out of our Early Childhood and School Readiness Leadership Commission last year. And this was really born out of the work done statewide with all of the early childhood education providers coming together to truly work to address the crisis that has been identified, which is that we do not have the we do not have the access to early childhood education as we do the demand. And we see that demand growing, increasing in the coming years. And we need to do everything we can to increase the number of ECE educators into the profession. And we hope that this bill does that, as well as increase the amount of early childhood mental health consultants available in our state to address the growing needs, the social and emotional needs, and the behavioral health needs of our young children. So I'm so pleased to be here to see this signed today, and immensely grateful to all of my colleagues who worked so hard, Tybal Jager and the Children's Campaign and the Women's Foundation and the providers across the state for the enormous work that has gone into these bills, and also to Scott and the governor's team who worked so hard with our state agencies to ensure that we could make this bill into law even amidst a pandemic and a budget shortfall. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Representative McCluskey.
Oh,
Yep, we have you down for this one too.
thank
Jim,
you.
Here, right? But you can thank Jim as well.
Yes, miss you, Jim. Representative Wilson not here today. Yeah, we were faced with quite the challenge at the end of session. We had 3 robust, beautiful early childhood bills that we had to get across the finish line in a very condensed time frame, and it was a mountain of a challenge. And thanks to the wonderful Representative Sirota and Senator Story, we were able to fold in an early childhood mental health consultation system bill into this really terrific early child workforce bill. And I am so excited to know that we are establishing in this state a system that is research-based, that will provide consultants and caregivers to families as well as students in the settings where we know kids are at, whether that's a preschool, a doctor's office, or in their own home. And I'm excited because the rising needs of early childhood mental health are daunting for many of us in school districts. And I'm excited to know that we have now put something into place that will stop behavioral and mental health challenges early for children, get them on the right path, and help them be successful. So thank you, Governor, again for signing this great bill that incorporates one of our others. We call this a turducken, when you get to mix a few bills into one. So thank you.
Thank you. And our Chief Senate sponsor, Senator Story from Evergreen.
Thank you so much, Governor, and I appreciate all of you being here today. This is just so incredible. We have such a huge selection of bills that are focused on early childhood that are getting signed, and I was very honored to be the chair of the interim committee last summer that has been referenced, the Early Childhood and School Readiness Committee, and to work with amazing people like Representative McCluskey and Representative Sirota and the others that were on the committee as well, who have the depth and breadth of knowledge about early childhood that really helped this committee be incredibly productive. And I was thrilled that when we felt that we were going to have to cut a number of our early childhood bills that had been really put together so well and crafted over the years, but we managed to work all the right things to put them together, these two in particular, to provide benefit for early childhood educators and the programs that we so desperately need all the way across the country, or all the way across Colorado. And I feel really honored to work with this team, and really pleased that we have, with this bill, we are laying a foundation that will allow us to expand our efforts as we come out of this pandemic and work out of this economic crisis that we are currently in. So my hat's off to the colleagues that I worked with. They really did an immense amount of work to make this happen. And thank you, Governor, for being supportive and signing this bill today.
And Bill Yeager from Colorado Children's Campaign.
Thank you. On behalf of us, all of us at the Colorado Children's Campaign and the broad and diverse coalition that supported this legislation, we want to thank the sponsors and the governor for their support of the bill. In particular, Representative Wilson, whose leadership will be so missed at the Capitol next year when it comes to what's best for kids, Senator Story, Senator Pedersen, Representative McCluskey, and in particular, Representative Sirota, who helped navigate this bill through tricky waters and is a relentless advocate for our early childhood educators and the families that they serve. And thank you, Governor Polis, who has always placed young children and the needs of their families at the heart of his education agenda. I am humbled in offering just brief comments on this bill. As the son of a preschool and kindergarten teacher, I could not be more proud to advocate for legislation that supports our early care and education workforce. During this crisis, we've all relied on essential workers, nurses, doctors, healthcare professionals, grocery store employees, and many others. These professionals have done life-saving work. But I think it's worth noting that their heroic work has been made possible by the early care and education professionals who have stepped up to care for and educate young children so that their parents can work. And just as our emergency response has been made possible by early care and education teachers, so too will our economic recovery. Thank you to our early childhood educators for your heroic work. Finally, I want to thank the diverse partners who made this bill possible, especially the Women's Foundation of Colorado, EPIC, Florence Crittenden Services, Gary Community Investments, Council for Strong America, Children's Hospital Colorado, the Colorado Association for Infant Mental Health, Council for Strong America, and of course Scott Groginski from Governor Polis' office. Thank you so much.
All right, let's make it the law. Sponsors, you can join us here. Okay, it's official. Congratulations. Thank you. Jim and Brittany.
I'm excited about this one because, you know what? Nobody really likes nosy neighbors who run HOAs and sometimes stop you from doing what you're doing. But this makes sure that your HOA doesn't stop something very important from happening. It prohibits HOAs from stopping family child care homes. So just because some people in a neighborhood don't want a neighborhood to be friendly for children, and make sure that they can't force the neighborhood not to be friendly for children. I want to thank Representative Roberts, Representative Van Winkle, Senator Story, and Senator Smallwood for this really important bipartisan bill. We want to make sure that these small businesses, these home child care, are not blocked unreasonably by flat-out HOA edicts. And this bill, strong support, gets rid of that obstacle, makes sure that we can have more quality early childhood programs in neighborhoods near where parents live. And you know what, especially during this COVID pandemic, it's also important to have distributed opportunities for childcare in small settings and in homes and neighborhoods, and we should have policies and laws that actually encourage that rather than stand in the way of that. And this really brings down a major barrier to home child care, and I'm really excited to sign this bill, and we'll turn it over to Senator Story.
Thank you. Welcome back. again, this bill was born out of the Early Childhood and School Readiness Interim Committee last summer, and it was, I take that back. Yes, okay, for a second I was like, I don't think that's true. In any case, it was a great opportunity, like the governor just mentioned, to expand opportunities for early childhood care in neighborhoods where it has not been allowed in the past in homeowner association communities. And this is a great opportunity for a single family who has small children or a small child, where someone is going to stay home and do childcare, to invite other kids perhaps in the neighborhood to come join them, and just provide an opportunity where it's just right there within the community and more accessible to families. And so we're looking forward to this opportunity as well, and I understand that there are already people in line waiting for the governor to sign this bill so that they can get going and open up their child care center right there in their neighborhood with a limited number of children. So really looking forward to the signature on this bill so we can continue to move that process forward. And I want to thank again my colleagues that worked so hard to make this happen, Representative Roberts, who's here today, and others that helped put this bill together. So thanks so much, and appreciate your...
Roberts, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Story, and thank you, Governor. I'm so happy about this bill being signed today. As the governor noted, oftentimes people want to open their home childcare business, but they can't just because they're in an HOA. And I actually heard directly from a constituent I represent Eagle County, who had contacted one of our Eagle County commissioners, and he wants to open a home childcare business in his home in the town of Eagle, but his new home is in an HOA. And just because the HOA says he can't do it, he is prevented from opening a small business in our community, and he's prevented from opening up new childcare spots, which are desperately needed in our mountain communities, but all over Colorado. And so we are, this is a great deregulation bill to allow people to open up small businesses and free up more childcare spots in our community. It could not be more important now than ever, and I'm very happy to have worked on this with Senator Story. When I found out that from my constituent, I contacted Senator Story, and she was already working on it. So I'm so happy we're able to do this for our constituents and for people across Colorado. Representative Van Winkle, who worked on this with me in the House, thank you, and Senator Smallwood in the Senate. A great bipartisan bill. It passed the House unanimously, and so I'm thankful to all my colleagues for their support. Especially thanks to Will and Allie and the team at My Village, who we're going to hear from next, is going to talk about how important this is and how beneficial this is going to be for more child care in our state. So thank you, Governor.
We have Aiden Leonard from My Village.
Thank you. My name is Aiden Leonard, and I'm with My Village, which I'll talk about in a minute. But first, I'm very grateful to be on here on behalf of My Village, our community, and home-based providers across the state. I'd like to say first and foremost, thank you so much to Senator Story, Senator Smallwood, Representative Roberts, and Van Winkle for their support of this bill, and really sponsorship throughout one of the most challenging legislative environments that our state has ever seen. Without their leadership, it was crucial to its success. I'd also like to thank members of the legislature on both sides of the aisle who came together in a truly genuine bipartisan fashion to address a critical need facing Colorado families: access to high-quality childcare. We're very proud to have played a small part in that. I'd like to thank our partners in the early childhood education community, and particularly Gary Community Investments, for their dedication and support not only of this bill, but of all of the bills being signed here today. And finally, I'd like to thank Governor Polis for his leadership and focus on, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, on ensuring that every family in Colorado has access to high-quality early care and education. So My Village was founded by two moms with a mission to harness the power of community to create exceptional care for every child. Our company exists to help early childhood educators start and operate their own home-based childcare programs and provide an invaluable service to their community by offering high-quality care to families and children. As a father of two young children myself, I can assure you that the past 5 months have done nothing if not reinforce the absolutely essential nature and value of this work. This bill reduces a consistent and significant barrier that individuals have faced in creating exactly those small home-based childcare environments best suited to address the current pandemic's risks. At the same time, it addresses critical workforce issues in our state by enabling small business owners and helping parents get back to work. all without a need for additional funding and while building communities in their own neighborhoods. So once again, we're grateful for everyone here today, particularly for standing out in the sun for so long. Thank you very much for this bill and for the Educator rule in helping us move forward, regrow our economy, help families, and most importantly, care for children across our state at the ages and in the environments that matter the most. Thank you.
Okay, let's make it official.
How many bills are you signing?
We got one more.
Not out of here. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, sir.
And I also want to join others in thanking Scott Kraginski, who's done a wonderful job for in our early childhood work. Thank you, Scott, for your work. Really, the Early Childhood Coalition that led to all these bills is just so important for our state and our future. I want to thank the sponsors of the Licensure Exemption for Family Child Care bill, Representative Mary Young, Representative Sonia Juarez Lewis, Senator Jesse Danielson, and Senator Chris Hansen. I also want to thank the Colorado Department of Human Services for their leadership. This bill will help increase early childhood capacity in Colorado by continuing the reasonable licensing exemptions of small size family care homes. And these are small businesses. Many of them are run by abuelas and tias across our state. And we want to make sure that they don't get caught up in a bureaucratic glitch that makes their businesses illegal. They should formally qualify for this exemption. They do. It's a really important part of childcare in our state. And we have safety precautions around this informal sector, and this makes sure that we can have those home-based family childcare homes that are so important across our state in a way that's not contrary to the law. So I want to thank the sponsors, and I'll turn it over to Representative Young.
Thank you, Governor. And for the question that was asked, I think I'm the last bill. And I appreciate you all being here today. And as a former educator, I am going to acknowledge the fact that we have all been out here in the heat for a long time. But I do want to say that I am happy to have this bill as part of this package today, because if you have talked to a parent during this pandemic or been on a Zoom meeting with a parent who had young children, you know how important it is to have flexible options for childcare, safe childcare. And I would like to thank CDHS and Scott and the government's team for working on this important opportunity. And I want to say that it allows, as the governor said, the tias and abuelas to provide childcare to their family, and also neighborhood children maybe that are related. These are very flexible options. And we are also creating opportunities in education for those who might want to become licensed to get further information on how to pursue them. So thank you so much for being here today, and thanks to the governor.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I think we'll see you in Greeley soon, right? And that concludes some of the best bills that we are signing because this is about the future of Colorado. So congratulations to the sponsors, the outside support organizations, all of you. We're going to do great things for Colorado's kids. Thank you.